Let's return to the situation with the recovery effort. Now, focus of what's happening with the bushfire is still, of course, an active situation. For now, though, that heightened risk has gone. Joining me is Cassandra Goldie, CEO of the Australian Council of Social Services, for more on this. Thanks very much for your time. The government's made it pretty clear in the past week or so this is a big priority. Money will not be an issue, even above the priority of the surplus. Does this make you think there'll be enough to get people back on their feet?
Well, look, of course, Tom, at this point, we were concerned that the money that is going to be made available is going to be adequate, and the events are continuing to develop as we speak today. Right now, we're alerting the government to the inadequacy of what's called the disaster recovery payment. This is that fixed amount. At the moment, it's $1,000 per individual and $400 per child if you've been directly affected by the bushfires. Look, those amounts haven't been increased at all since 2006. All the feedback we're getting is that it's not enough money. We think it needs to be increased. We're recommending to the government it goes upwards to $3,000 to ensure that it's going to cover the real basics. Of course, housing's a big one, you know, we're very worried that this won't be enough. And of course, there's also, if you've lost income, there's another payment that you are eligible for. It's called the Disaster Recovery Allowance. And at the moment, that's capped at 13 weeks at the base rate of New Start, $40 a day. Now, Tom, it's not going to surprise you. I'm sitting here today again saying that's not enough for people. It doesn't cover the costs of the basics. And this is cash that people desperately need. And frankly, it'll also be really welcome cash into those local economies in the days and weeks ahead.
The government's been talking about a whole raft of different payments that will be made available. If someone, say, has had their home destroyed and they're not working, is that it, those two payments? There'd be other ones they would be eligible for?
Those are the two key government payments, yes. Look, Red Cross has, as of last week, announced a small grant of $5,000 for individuals who've lost their home, either as a homeowner or a tenant. So look, that is really welcome to supplement what the government's doing at federal level. But I just want to highlight, these are really core basic payments, these disaster recovery payments from the Commonwealth. We've long been saying the Commonwealth needs to do its bit here, and at the moment we think both of those payments should be increased to complement what is being done by all the community sector organisations and the donations that are coming in.
The first payment you mentioned, so $1,000 for adults, $400 for children, what would that cover for the average person, if there's such a thing, in the situation?
Well, look, for people that don't have anything else behind them, this is going to be nowhere near enough. Of course, you could be stranded, transport, needing to get somewhere else to try and get a roof over your head. What have you lost? Are there medicines that you've lost? You know, if you've really lost everything, of course, cash is going to be really crucial for you. As I say, it was $1,000 back in 2006, so that's 14 years ago. You don't need to be a rocket scientist to work out that obviously costs have gone up. And because of the scale of this as well, people are probably having to travel very big distances in order to access the basics that they're needing. And so we're just saying to the government, you've got to be prepared to increase this amount. It's a straightforward improvement the government could make. We will be talking to the government further about a number of other areas where we think there are gaps. Food relief is a really key one. There's been no additional funding as of at the moment we're aware of to go towards all those groups on the ground doing food relief. We're hopeful there'll be some more for financial counselling and some of those crucial community services. This is big and large scale, as you can imagine, Tom. And so we've just got to make sure that we keep ensuring that the commitments that are coming through are going to be adequate.
Yeah, look, not doubting that. I mean, on the food side, I'm just trying to recall exactly what Daniel Andrews said, because he was saying the other day, too much furniture and clothing. I think it was food as well in some parts. There was just too much coming, so they needed cash instead. There's no one out there at the moment, is there, that can't get enough food as a result of this bushfire crisis?
Look, we've got some extraordinary work being done by community organisations like Food Bank, who are, working very closely with retailers, Coles, Woolies and others, to move food where it needs to be. But this is extraordinarily big work, big logistics. We are saying to the government, you've got to respond to the bids that are in from some of those organisations to provide additional cash to help with all of the work that's being done by both the staff and the volunteers involved in these efforts. And so, look, we've seen some phenomenal contributions coming from the community, as I say, private donors, community organisations, extraordinary community leadership there. We're just asking the federal government to respond appropriately to the bids and the requests that are coming in from organisations, including our members, where they're saying we really need this cash assistance to help us do our bit as well.
What about insurance? Is there any concern, already insurance companies talking about added risk in future years? It might be around fires or floods as well, and that might become unaffordable for some people, and they're going to be in a position in a high risk area without insurance. Is that something you're hearing much about?
Yeah, look, this is a huge issue. Of course, we're hearing many stories of people already affected. We've got over 2,500 homes that have been destroyed as of the moment, and a lot of concerns about underinsurance. Of course, home and contents for people who are tenants. These are very precious belongings for people. In many of these areas, these are not wealthy areas either. People on very low incomes will not have been able to afford insurance, and so the premiums are likely to go up. We've already got people who, when they've been tightening their belts to try and make ends meet prior to these disasters hitting, have traded off insurance, and so they're not being insured. So this is an area we're saying, look, both obviously these emergency relief approaches that I'm talking about earlier, crucial to help people get back the basics that they need, but a proper review to say, what do we need to do about insurance now, because these events are unfortunately not going away. Of course, we want to see the government do the right thing on the big picture around climate change and tackling some of the root cause of these extreme weather events, but insurance is a really basic one. And of course, people with very low incomes or tight budgets have been trading that off.
We've been showing on the screen a few places. Any viewers that need to ascertain whether or not they can get assistance can go to find out as well. So look up all your relevant websites there. Cassandra Goldie, though, thanks for your time today.
Thanks, Tom.